My name is Dr. Antony Gitonga, a political scientist and a governance expert. I'm the next Member of Parliament for their constituency, 2027, and very passionate about development and governance. I'm seeking the leadership of Othaya constituency because I believe that Othaya deserves better and Othaya can do better. I come from Othaya, born and bred and schooled in Othaya constituency. Othaya is the land of my grandfather. Othaya is the land of my father. Othaya is my land. And so I know the potential that Othaya has, especially from a political point of view. And that is why I'm saying Antony Gitonga, aka AntoGito, is here and is able to do much more, and especially when it comes to the role of a Member of Parliament. The Constitution is very clear that the role of a Member of Parliament includes a representation, legislature, oversight, and also development. And looking at where we are coming from and the leaders we've had before, I see a huge gap, and especially in the area of representation. I am experienced. I have the technical know-how to be able to do that. I am a doctor, a PhD doctor in public policy. I've worked with the previous president, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta. I was also a youth winger for President Mwai Kibaki. So in terms of the skill and the passion to be able to do the job, I believe that is something that I have. But most importantly, I'm bringing in to that constituency a new kind of leadership, which is young, competent, and people-centric leadership, where when we say this is what we need to do for Othaya, and we come together as the people of Othaya, then mine as Member of Parliament is to be able to champion it and to be able to ensure that that is done with everybody coming on board. Yes, it is true that Othaya constituency has produced arguably the best president that Kenya ever had. That is President Mwai Kibaki, who served between 2002 to 2013. And I also want to bring to the attention of the viewers that Mwai Kibaki was also our Member of Parliament for 8 terms for 40 consecutive years, 1974 to 2013. And that is why the threshold and the benchmark for that remains very high in terms of representation, in terms of development, in terms of legislature, and just having a leader who is people-centric and who can be able to do the job as sent by the people to do the job. If we look at the leaders who have come after Mwai Kibaki, we've had now 2-3 leaders. The current one is the 3rd leader. And I believe it's an opportunity for us to have another 1974 moment where Othaya elected a young, competent leader, a young Mwai Kibaki who rose through the ranks because he was educated, because he was experienced, because he was passionate to do the job, rose through the ranks, became a minister, became a vice president, and ultimately a president. I'm able to do it differently in terms of the current leadership. My benchmark is actually what Mwai Kibaki was able to do in Othaya. He was very aggressive in parliament. He stood with the people. He championed the needs, the rights, the opinions, the voices of his people in parliament. And that is why he served for not 1 term, not 2 terms, but for 8 terms, because he was able to relate with the people. What I'm bringing on board is exactly that, getting to discuss and agree with the people in terms of economics, agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of our economy. We are farmers when it comes to tea and coffee and milk and avocado. But how do we ensure that our farmers get value for their toil, get value for their trade? It's just making sure that while we are in parliament, while these things are being discussed in parliament, there is somebody who can debate for them. There is somebody who can be able to say that our farmers deserve better. The gap that I see today is that we do not have that kind of leadership anymore. Nobody talks about Othaya farmers in Bunge. Nobody champions the rights of our young people in Othaya constituency in parliament in terms of getting government employment opportunities, in terms of getting capital to be able to do trade, to become entrepreneurs. And that is a gap I see. The leaders we have elected before are leaders who are swamped in many other things, personal things, from business to many other things. They forget the cardinal responsibility of a member of parliament. And that is why I'm saying Dr. Antony Gitonga, aka AntoGito, is ready to serve the people of Othaya more effectively than the current leadership, and especially standing in parliament, debating for the young people, debating for the farmers, debating for the traders of Othaya, so that they can get value for what they do and they can know that their voice is well represented in parliament. Othaya constituency is not different from many other parts of our country. And I wouldn't say that that was special to their constituency. But what we have seen across our country, Othaya included, is that we have too many young people who have gone to school, but they do not have opportunities. We have too many young people loitering in our villages because there is no leadership that listens to them. There is no leadership that goes to say, let's be able to open an industry where we can be able to employ our young people. That this is the business or the trade, or I'm going to seek government employment opportunities for our people. So that is that bulge, that youth bulge, is a problem that is happening across our country. And yes, it is true that occasionally you will get, this petty crime in our villages because people need money. Our young people need some sort of money to sustain themselves. And some of them are so frustrated because they have degrees, some have masters, they've gone to school, but they do not have the opportunities. And that is why I'm saying, for me, as Antony Gitonga, very passionate about youth empowerment, mine is to say that I'm going to do all that it takes to ensure that we provide as many opportunities for our young people. I want to tell our viewers that it is possible to lobby for resources in a place like Othaya and start an industry, for example, for avocado fruits. If we are able to get an industry or even open a factory where we are able to collect fruits and be able to process and be able to sell as a final product, that will be able to help our young people, all right? Because our young people are industrious. They are not lazy. They're just lacking somebody who connects them with opportunities, somebody, a leader who is able to provide leadership, who is able to provide connections, who is able to give them exposure. So yes, that will occasionally happen. And this is just because we have our young people who have the papers now, but they don't have opportunities. And so the only thing they can resort to, just like any other part of our country, is to try and get involved in petty crime, which is something that we are not, we wouldn't want to see happening. And the way to stop it is to ensure that these young people are exposed, they're given opportunities, and they're empowered. You see, being a member of parliament is very critical because it means that you have a national platform to be able to debate important issues like coffee farming, like tea farming, like dairy farming, and to remember that the people who have sent you to parliament have sent you to be able to champion their needs and to champion their rights and to ensure that they get value for what they do. So what I would do is to make sure that in parliament, all right, is to bring like-minded, parties and partners together and be able to talk about this comprehensively, all right? Not just special for Othaya, but across Mount Kenya region, across the country, because it would be better to do it from a partnership, a stakeholder engagement point of view, so that when you're talking about value, we're able to debate that what our farmers need are three things. One, let the government be able to provide them with the necessary input, all right? The necessary input in terms of fertilizer. Those who need mechanization need to be supported. Number two is to be able to say that you need credit, all right? We have, most of our farmers are smallholder farmers. So our farms are not the biggest farms, and our farmers need access to credit. Because if they have access to credit, then they're able to do their trade, they're able to do agriculture better. They're able to buy the best input that government would not be able to provide. They're able to learn in terms of capacity building. Three is market, all right? We need to see the Ministry of Agriculture, and we saw that some time back when His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua was still Deputy President, and he traveled to the Caribbean to try and look for market for coffee. And there was hope, all right? But his removal now means that we are not able to do much. The country, I think, we didn't succeed much after Rigathi Gachagua left office. But one of the cardinal responsibilities is to say that the government needs to be very intentional to go out there and source for market, whether local or abroad, so that farmers can sell their produce and be able to get much more. How do we empower? How do we build the capacity of our farmers? Training and capacity building is important. Value addition. We don't need to sell our products as raw as they are, or as raw as they come from the farm. How do we ensure that we do our own value addition and sell a final product? All right. One of the tragedies we have faced in agriculture is the issue of middlemen. All right. I can tell you, for example, we have so many young people who are involved in avocado trade in Othaya constituency. And then we have the middleman, the broker, who comes and buys that particular fruit avocado at maybe 5 shillings, at 10 shillings. Then they go, do nothing about it, and sell it to the companies that are now processing or that are now exporting, and they sell it at about 50 or 60 shillings. Yet this middleman didn't do much. All right, the farm is not their farm. They did not support when it comes to providing input. They didn't even train our farmers. So that is what we need to eliminate from the equation. And the way to eliminate that is to ensure that our farmers are empowered and to ensure that the government steps in to be able to connect our farmers with the right markets. Of course, it's quite unfortunate that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, who was championing, for the interest of many farmers, was impeached from office in October 2024. And he was very vocal, and especially when it comes to coffee. I must say that most of what he was doing stalled. It came to a very abrupt stop. He was very keen to say that our coffee farmers need to be paid better. Our coffee farmers and the country needs to get better markets for coffee. But that has since stopped, rough. I don't know whether it's politics. I don't know whether somebody was not very keen to see that coffee farmers from across the country do not get enough value for their toil, for their trade, for whatever reasons. But what I must say that it would be very sad to try and politicize some of these trades, some of these economic activities, because at the end of the day, all Kenyans from across the counties and the regions need to get value for what they do. And no one is better placed than government itself to ensure that they support our farmers. So yes, since Rigathi Gachagua left, we haven't seen much coming out of it. In terms of politics, yes, I'm vying to be Othaya Member of Parliament under the DCP Party in 2027.
Why DCP?
Because, politics, the dynamics of politics are quite interesting, all right? If you want to serve the people, if you want to provide leadership to the people, you first listen to them. You first associate with them. What are some of the most pressing issues that they want addressed, all right? And then once you do that and you understand, then you offer yourself for leadership. I have been in Mount Kenya. I come from Mount Kenya, all right? And they are very clear this time that they want effective representation. They want leaders who are young and competent to be able to do the job. And when I look at myself, I fit the bill. And that is why I'm saying I want to run for the role of Member of Parliament. Why DCP? Because the people are telling us that if it is not DCP, don't even bother. It is the people who tell us. And that is why DCP for us. And that is why we are going to win, not just the votes, but also the hearts of the people, is to listen, all right? If I want to serve you, I must listen to you. I must try to understand what issues do you want addressed. So DCP is the party of the mountain. DCP is the party to beat in Othaya constituency and across Mount Kenya and many other parts of our country. And I'm in DCP purely because the people I want to serve are very categorical that if we are going to work with you, the party we relate with, the party we associate ourselves with is the Democracy for the Citizens Party, that is DCP, ably and passionately led by His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. That's debatable. We are still in court. But Mbeere North is a very interesting constituency. And I was there during the by-elections, all right? And it's debatable to say we lost. We know we didn't lose. We know that that election was rigged, and that is why we went to court, all right? Okay, let's say we were defeated. But how comes we were defeated when the government had deployed its entire machinery to Mbeere North? When the government, in our own estimations, utilized more than $500 million in terms of voter bribery, in terms of just being able to come and hoodwink the voters with tokens and money, how comes then with all that kind of heavy government machinery being deployed to Mbeere North, the margin was just 400 votes, all right? And remember also what happened, yeah? Remember also what happened when we had this other candidate from Chama cha Kazi who also, tried to spoil the victory for United Opposition. So much as we lost, we have learned a lot from Mbeere North. And that is why we are saying we cannot repeat the same mistakes when it comes to the by-elections in Olkalau constituency. Yeah, the economics, there's something called the political economy. The economics of Mbeere North are so dire because when you present, disguised economic opportunities to the voter of Mbeere North, and most of them perhaps may not have the right information, they will go with that. And that is what we saw. We had a very credible candidate. We had very good policies that we sold to the people. But the last minute voter bribery is what tried to tilt the elections of Mbeere North. But we have challenged that in court and we know we won. We are very clear and we are very categorical that for us to win these elections in 2027, we must come as a united front, all right? We must come as a united opposition. And we are discussing with our equal partners under the umbrella of United Opposition and agreeing that what is important now is not even who becomes presidential candidate, is not which party becomes the flag bearer. It's about rescuing our country. That is why we're talking about one term, all right? Who runs and who becomes our flag bearer is secondary. Right now, what you need to agree is that, guys, what we need first is to remove this regime from office, all right? Because of the pressing issues we have seen that haven't been addressed. We're talking about capitation in education being reduced. We're talking about the many scandals around SHAM, around, for example, Talanta Stadium, around so many projects in government. The corruption is too stinking that we can't go another term. And that is why we're talking about one term, all right? So we are very alive to the fact that if we are to win these elections in 2027, we must go as one united opposition, all right? And we are united. I can tell you we are united because I have told you what we have already agreed on is the objective. And the objective is to rescue our country. The objective is to ensure that we work together to save Kenya from where it is today. The spirit of our constitution is devolution, all right? And devolution is to say that the architects of our constitution wanted to ensure that resources get to the mashinani, all right? Get to the ground as much as possible, all right? I want to agree with you that yes, there is that thorny issue of conflict in terms of development and oversight. It has discussed many times in court. Remember, until January, the courts had already pronounced that they were going to abolish CDF at the end of this financial year. But again, just recently, the courts again came and told us that CDF is right and CDF should continue. So I think what we need to see are mechanisms where members of parliament do not utilize CDF as political baits, all right? CDF should be run professionally. It's okay for member of parliament to be able to provide that oversight or to provide that leadership because a constituency is a much smaller unit than a county, all right? So it means there is a place that the member of parliament can be able to provide much more in terms of development and can be able to relate much more with the people that the county can do. So there could be that aspect of conflict. But if we look at the spirit and the letter of our constitution, when it talks about devolution, and when we say that we want many resources to go to the people, CDF actually responds to that question. All we need to do is to make sure that CDF is run professionally, it is not politicized, and Mwananchi and Wanjiko can feel the impact of CDF. If today we didn't have CDF, I bet you county governments would not have been able to do the schools, the security systems within our constituencies than how we have seen many MPs be able to do it. Again, it's about devolution, all right? I come from Othaya constituency. If you say that the governor provides bursaries to the more than 100 schools, for example, let's say HS schools in Othaya constituency, it would take much more time and much more effort than a member of parliament would be able to do, all right? So it is okay to have some sort of harmony, but it is still okay to say that, and that is why today we still advocate that, not forget about even the members of parliament, even the MCAs need to have some development kit, because the lower we go, the more we respond to the devolution aspect of our constitution, all right? You know, we have debated many times about the Ward Development Fund, and I think it is quite in order that even the MCAs can be able to have some budget, can be able to be funded properly, because the lower the resources are, the better for Wanjiko.
But who will oversight them?
There are many mechanisms to provide oversight. County assemblies can do that. County assemblies can do that because they report and they work under the respective county assemblies. Yes. The way to determine a good leader are two main ways. One, look at his track record. Look at where he's been able to serve before. Look at his record. Look at his capacity to serve. Look at his credentials to serve. And then number two, look at what vision do they have, all right? I, for example, run my own foundation, and I've been able to do quite a lot in our constituency, mobilizing personal resources and resources from my networks. We've been able to build homes. We've been able to provide critical infrastructure in schools. We've been able to provide critical safe spaces for young people to come and learn, model farms for farmers to come and get trained. And this is just me, all right? I've worked with the United Nations. I've worked with many organizations. You will see very clean records in terms of what I was able to do, how I was able to turn around different projects. So that is something that is in the public domain. If you look at also the vision that I have, and that is why it's also important to have young, competent leaders elected into office, because it provides you with the continuity, all right? It provides you with an opportunity for ambition to be able to grow, all right? I'm saying, one, youth empowerment is something that you need to be very intentional. And I have given you a very good example. Today, what you see in Othaya is a lot of construction, all right? Is a lot of materials coming in, all right? To be able to build markets, to be able to provide cabros to schools, to be able to repaint old iron sheets for schools, to be able to, is a lot of construction. It's debatable whether that is what we need now, or that is something that can wait. And I've told you, the way first to address youth empowerment is to come and say, guys, can we see how we provide industries to our people? Our people are very industrious when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to farming. Can we have a factory, for example? Can we have an industry where we say we are going to be collecting fruits, we pay farmers properly, we add value to our products, whether milk, whether fruits, whatever it is, and then we sell that as a final product? What do we do when we do that? Number one, we provide opportunities for our young people because they're already into this trade, into this kind of farming. Number two is even in terms of those who are not doing it directly in the farms, are able to get employment. all right? If we empower the young people and the farmers and tell them that you're going to pay you properly, and those who are not doing the farming directly, we're going to provide you um, with employment opportunities, you better the economy of a constituency or a county much more than to say we are going to provide cab roads costing 200 million shillings to 50 or 60 schools. I schooled in Othaya and I passed with flying colors and I walked in the mud. Why? Because I had teachers in class, I had products in our lab, we had books in our library. That is what matters. I mean, why do I need to walk on Cabro and I'm walking into a classroom that doesn't have a teacher? Why do I need to stay under a classroom that has repainted iron sheets and there are no books for me to read? Our priorities are wrong. We need to come together as a people and be able to say that for us, what is critical, what is pressing, what is urgent to be able to provide opportunities for our learners, for our young people, and for posterity. Women are very critical when it comes to leadership, and they are very central to my manifesto or to my vision as being Othaya Member of Parliament. And I know how it cuts across, from appointment to the boards, opportunities to serve. And because women are also highly organized into groups, through table banking, through chamas, through different empowerment groups, one is to say that, one, we're able to provide you with opportunities to access credit, all right? Number two is to say that we can be able to ensure that even when it comes to, for example, the CDF board or the employment opportunities into the various offices, you cannot do without our women, all right? You cannot do without our women. And their place, their position, not just in my manifesto, but also in the party I belong to, the DCP, is very clearly cut out. And that cannot be overstated. It's not about who joins who. It's about forming a formidable partnership, all right, to work together, all right? What we have agreed first under the umbrella of United Opposition, the United Opposition is not a party, all right? It's a partnership of like-minded leaders and parties. And we have agreed that, guys, please, as much as you can, go to the ground, talk to the people directly, popularize your party, and try to marshal as much as you can in terms of numbers and also in terms of resources. All right? We have seen many times even Rigathi Gachagua having exclusive DCP rallies. There is no harm about it. We have seen many times Kalonzo Musyoka leading, even in central Kenya, Wiper rallies, and there is no harm about it. Before you saw Mother Karua in central Kenya popularizing the PLP party, about a month ago, it was Fred Matiang'i with the Jubilee, and there is no harm because we have already said that we are going to form a strong partnership and we want everybody to come to the table and tell us, these are the numbers I can marshal. These are the resources I can marshal, all right? So it is not true that when you see one party doing their own event or their own rally, that they are not united anymore, all right? As long as our agenda is clear, as long as we are singing the one-term song, it means we are united, all right? I mean, just the other day we saw also the leaders from Western Kenya, Eugene Wamalwa, Anna Tembea, Sifuna, also having a conversation, all right? There's no harm about it. The other day we saw His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua also having a conversation with His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. There's no harm about it. It is unity, all right? So our slogan is scatter none, all right, gather all. We are going to gather everybody. We are not going to scatter anybody, because at the end of the day, the more we are, the merrier, and the more stronger the partnership is going to be. Who is the future? How do you determine leadership? Leadership is about the person who can strategically drive into the future. We have tremendous respect as a region for His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. I told you I had an opportunity to work in his strategy team, all right? He has served us as president, as a political leader, as a minister, as a deputy prime minister, all right? But now what we need is a leader who can drive us into the future again, all right? Uhuru Kenyatta is a statesman, a very respected leader, not just within the Mount Kenya region, but across the country. But do you think today Uhuru Kenyatta would come and get onto the rooftop of a vehicle and be able to campaign for anybody? No, he can't. But he's able to provide insights. And that is why the other day when they met with His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, he was kind enough to say, I'm in Shaweri, I'm also listening to the people, and you guys are doing well, but remain united. All right? He's a politician. Being a politician is not something you retire. He's still the party leader for Jubilee Party, and he has said that he's going to offer strategic also leadership or insights through the Jubilee Party. And Jubilee Party is a member of the United Opposition. And the Jubilee Party has said our presidential candidate is Fred Matiang'i. And there's no harm about it. All right? So Uhuru Kenyatta is a leader whose time we have already gone through. Rigathi Gachagua is a leader whose time is now and the future. And he's our leader, he's our kingpin in the mountain. And it's not Rigathi Gachagua who has determined himself for that. It's the people. It's the people who have said, this is the leader we want. Remember, it's still the people who told President William Ruto, if you want our votes, this is the man to work with. It is His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. And remember, we have been told by many politicians that there were even polls, there were even actual voting for who would be best suited to deputize President William Ruto in 2022. And most of them wanted to have Kindiki do that job. But it is President William Ruto who said, I believe from where I sit that if I'm going to win this election, I have to go into it, with Rigiji as my deputy. Why? Because he's the greatest mobilizer he had in his team. He is one man who can also really mobilize resources from across networks. He's one person who can stand with you against all odds and be able to help you sell the government agenda. And he did that, all right? And he's also a man and a leader who's very strong-minded and who is has such a strong stand and is very principled and is a leader you cannot toss around. What we agree is what we need to do for the people. And if that is not what we're going to do to the people, then please count me out. And that is why it's quite unfortunate to see that after all he had done for this government, he was sacrificed at the political altar simply because of political intolerance and convenience. Unless we are not true to ourselves, unless we just want to say that we want to run away from reality, that is exactly it. Politics is about numbers. Politics is about interest. And politics is very local, all right? And now they sacrificed Rigiji, maybe because of talking about shareholding. But today that is the song that ODM is talking about. When Gladys Wanga and Dr. Oburu Odinga stands and says we want 50% of government, it is exactly what Rigiji was saying. We want 50% of shareholding. 50% is to say that in all opportunities, we want half. In all positions, we want half. Why? Because we believe that also what we are going to contribute to the success of the government is sizable enough for us to get 50%. So there was nothing wrong, absolutely, in His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua talking about shareholding, all right? Because that's the nature of politics. Politics is about numbers, is about interest, all right? You cannot tell me that you have so many leaders who marshal so much resources, who bring all the numbers from Mount Kenya, contributing 47% of President William Ruto's victory in 2022. 47% came from Mount Kenya. And then you tell me that you are not going to use that to bargain, all right? To bargain for positions, to bargain for opportunities. And by the way, when Mount Kenya or even Nyanza bargains for these opportunities, it doesn't weaken the position of the others. They just need to be strong and aggressive enough to also say that this is our contribution, right? Or this is what we can do. We also demand a piece of the cake. So just because Rigathi Gachagua is too vocal doesn't mean that any other person doesn't need to be vocal. It's a matter of wait and see, all right? But I think that's the direction that we have seen. Barely 6 months after the death of Raila Amolo Odinga, may his soul rest in peace, we already have two splinter groups of this once very strong political party in our country, the ODM, all right? We have the Linda Ground, led by Dr. Oburu Odinga and Gladys Wanga, and we have Linda Mwananchi, ably passionately led by Senator Sifuna, you know, the likes of Babu Owino, and so on. So that is to tell you that the future of ODM, you cannot count on it as one political party, all right? And it's simply because there are people who believe that ODM should stay with government, and there's another group that believes ODM should chart its own way forward and maybe should be able to provide alternative, okay? The ODM is telling us that those who are in Linda Mwananchi are in it because Baba told them that 2027 ODM will go to the elections as ODM, all right? And if we want to be fair, I think that is also what Baba said in public, all right? And I think if we want to rely on what Baba said, we can only take what he said publicly that all of us can see and relate with. So that is where we are. It's unfortunate to see such a strong political party that has fought for the democracy of our country, that championed a lot of reforms in our country, slowly dying. But I want to say that change is good. There's no harm in seeing also change come. I interacted with Baba, and especially when we were with the Azimio Brigade, all right? When His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was convincing us as a country that this is the man who I believe is able to continue with the work that I've already started, that this is a reformer, this is a Democrat, this is a leader who we can trust him based on the track record, based on the many reforms, constitutional reforms that he has fought for our country. I wouldn't say it was a very personal relationship with Baba, but I was able to sit and also just observe him as a leader. And I can remember him fondly as a leader who was very people-centric, who couldn't be compromised. And when it came to choosing between the people, the country, and convenience, he chose the country and he chose the people. And many times, that is why in 2007, all right, much as that election had all the many flaws, he still was kind enough to say, it's okay, let me take a position and let's form the government of national unity. The same happened in 2018 when he also had a handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, all right? We also saw the same in 2024 when he decided to support William Ruto. He didn't do that because of convenience. He did that because as a leader, for him, what was always important is to make sure that we have a country that remains united. Because sometimes in politics, when you have very strong stands, it hurts not just the country, but also the people, all right? If Raila Odinga had continued in 2007 to say no Raila, no country, we would have had such a bad, it would have been very worse. If he refused to work together with Uhuru Kenyatta, it would have been even worse, all right? If he didn't step in 2024 to say, guys, please, ODM is going to support President William Ruto so that he can be able to work for the country. And he has told us before that if he didn't do that, then maybe the country was going to go to military takeover. And what happens is that we don't have a country anymore. So those sacrifices are the things that I remember fondly about Baba as a leader who stepped in for the country when the country needed him the most. The people of Othaya, Antony Gitonga is still very excited and passionate to say that we are going to transform Othaya. We are going to change Othaya together, all right? This is not about me. It's not about any one of us as a single individual. It's about us coming together as a people and saying that we need better representation in parliament. We need a leader who can stand with our young people. When we have a government that doesn't respond to the young people, when we have a government that is intentional to shoot and to abduct young people, we need a leader from our midst who can stand and say, that is wrong. Do not kill our people. What our young people demand or are demanding are opportunities, economic opportunities, to do the job, to do trade, to thrive and to be able to exercise what they want to do and be able to get income from that. And Antony Gitonga has stepped up and said that I want to be the person who stands in that gap. I have the knowledge, I have the skill, I have the attitude, I have the passion to do the job. And just like many people are saying, we have an opportunity now as Othaya to have another 1974 moment where Othaya elected a young competent leader, a young Mwai Kibaki, who served Othaya for the longest, who was very vocal about the people of Othaya, and who rose through the ranks to become a minister, to become a vice president, and ultimately became arguably the best president this country has ever had. And that's the beauty of working with young, competent leaders, because there's a future, not just for the people they represent, but also for the country. And that is why we are supporting, the Babu Owinos of this world, the Sifunas of this world, the Dindinyoros of this world, because it is in the younger generation that the future lies. And Antony Gitonga will serve you effectively as a member of parliament come 2027 and beyond. Thank you so much.